It's no doubt cliche by now. A crew of ragtag ne'er-do-wells find themselves either conscripted or forced by circumstance to hunt down a fading distress call in order to salvage whatever loot remains for whichever greedy, power-hungry mega-corporation that owns a piece of them. While it may be a tale as old as time, it's nevertheless the story we find ourselves unraveling in today's game. The aptly named Distress Call from designer Cameron Parker comes to us courtesy of Auburn Games, who sent us this preview copy. We're going to bring home what we can, but make sure that we personally look better doing it than our rivals. All set? Shiny. Let's be bad guys. The goal of the game. Distress Call is a game of memory for 3 to 5 players and can be played in 30 to 40 minutes depending on player count, with your first game taking 45 or so. The object of the game is to safely transport goods of your designated colors into the cargo containers. Score points from the containers that don't contain the most trash and you'll win the round. The first player to win 2 rounds wins the game. I'm going to teach this game based on the rulebook's directions, and then after that I'll tell you how you should play every game except your first. Cool? Cool. To begin, shuffle the Distress Call deck and deal out 3 cards face down to the table. You'll also want some number of wooden pallet tokens equal to the number of players in the game. GLHF board games is 3, so that's what we have here. To that, you'll add the single golden pallet in every game. All the cubes should be set aside by color if you want to make your life easier. Shuffle and deal out 1 character card to each person face up. These will reveal which cubes/cargo you care about and how many points you'll get for each cube that makes it back to the storage facility, which you can only see if you tell Dr. Venkman the magic word. Flip over the first of the 3 distress calls and then put the listed cubes into the pouch. Shake to combine like a late 80s chicken commercial, tell the camera that you helped, and then place the cubes one at a time on the pallets, starting with the golden pallet and proceeding clockwise. Let's speed up time just a little bit. You are now ready to begin the actual game. The owner of the Employee of the Moment token chooses a single pallet. The next player chooses one that's left, and then the last player on the table gets both of the remaining pallets. Now, in reverse order, choose a storage container and empty all of one storage container's pallets cubes into it. Like so. The second player can choose any of the 3, even the one just selected, and then back to the first player to choose any of the containers while again emptying all of their cubes into the space-safe seal. The last player to draft gets to choose last which container their second set of cubes will go into, and after giving the Employee of the Moment token to the player who took the golden pallet, you've completed a single round. Play continues like this, never opening or emptying the storage containers until all 3 distress calls have been answered. At the end of the 3rd round, you will open up all 3 storage containers and count the amount of space trash, the plain colored cubes, in each. Whichever container has the most is emptied back into the supply completely. If there's a tie, the tied container with the most total cubes is emptied. Pile together the cubes from the remaining 2 containers and score points based on your ID badge. Most points wins, and a full game is played like this over and over until one player has won twice. First of all, it should be noted right off the top that I really like this game a lot. It doesn't try to do anything too wacky or complicated. It does its thing, and then it gets off your table. I like that a lot in a game. I also really like the basic thrust here. Struggle based on perfect information and whatever degree of memory you have. In theory, this should be a solvable game right from the get-go, assuming you can remember with precision what's in each container. To get around that problem somewhat, and to introduce the promised bluffing mechanic, the rulebook has a variant for keeping all of the identification cards secret. That should be upgraded to the standard rule set. Selling the game as a game of memory and bluffing doesn't work at all when there's no bluffing. When they're dealt out at the beginning of the game, deal them face down and keep these cards hidden until endgame scoring. There are a number of other outline variants in the rulebook, and some are better than others. Feel free to tweak your game until it fits your group's style. What really works here is the game moves at a good clip and is instantly recognizable to anyone sitting down to it for the first time. There's enough jockeying for position and pure cube dumping to make anyone smile. Overall, this is a game that just feels fun when you play it, and that's due to the inherent simplicity of the pitch. Also, Rebecca Parker's art style is charming and fits the campy space adventure theme well. I'll hold off judgment on these cargo containers, as I'm told they're going to be much better than the prototype versions I have here. Based on just that much and the promise of better overall table presence, I'd say this is worth a very long look for your table. Where Distress Call misses the mark for me is that there are moments where it just tries too hard. The rulebook I have is chock full of overly complicated backstory and acronym puns based on an interstellar megacorp declining your citizenship and forcing you into indentured servitude. While this tongue-in-cheek theme of being forced to work for a company that couldn't care less if you lived or died so long as they got their goods may have played years ago, it feels both overly stale and too close to home in the current corporate climate. Inside the actual game, the robot smuggler character scores 4 points for each red cube brought in, but no one else scores for red, so each other character can easily treat red as trash and not lose anything in the strategy. This forces the robot smuggler to work on their own for much of the game and can cause some bad feels. Overall, Distress Call works well when it remembers it's a game and focuses on balance, and veers wildly off course when it tries to do more than that. Designer Cameron Parker has created the scaffolding of a really neat experience here, and with a careful editor's eye, this could easily be a game I pull out at my game nights over and over again. Distress Call takes a blindingly simple premise and makes it into a fantastic quick game by adding just enough hidden information to keep things spicy without ever feeling like you were outlucked. Let's go through our checklist before I give you my final thoughts. In the box, rulebook clear and non-gender pronouns. While there's quite a bit more attention paid to flavor and theme than I personally think works here, the rulebook still maintains a good amount of clarity. There were a couple of paragraphs that took me a few reads to fully comprehend, but once you've played a full game, you shouldn't need it at all anymore. It refers to the player by using third-person they and theirs pronouns throughout. Iconography clear. Yes, the only thing you'll ever need to pay attention to are the colored cubes and knowing which ones are good for you and which ones are bad for you. If the final colors stay as they are here, non-colorblind players should have no issues at all. Our colorblind friends, however, may have trouble distinguishing which colors are on the table. Packaging well done. Unknown. My preview box contains no organization at all, but apart from the always requisite baggies, none is really needed here. On the table. Good representation. Of the 5 playable characters in-game, only 2 are obviously gendered and as women. The rest are a pair of robots and an intentionally obscured figure. Component quality. Not outstanding. While the 3D printed storage containers are a little wonky in my version, the final should have properly molded and closable molded plastic crates. I really wanted the cubes to either be translucent acrylic or metallic, and some way for colorblind players to play without constantly asking how many reds and greens are on each palette would be nice. Still, everything here is serviceable, and if the price point ends up being low enough for people on the fence to take a flyer on this one, then it will be worth it. Replay value. Fairly high, with some room for bluffing, a few different ways to make your table presence known, and a handful of built-in rule variants. There should be plenty here to keep you interested over many plays. The consideration of a 5th player is also nice to have and should up the play count as well. I'd love to be able to play this with 6, however. Fun to lose. Yes, rounds end quickly, and if you end up getting absolutely junked by space trash, there's another round coming up with a clean slate soon. There's also plenty of adding cubes over time to challenge even the mightiest of memory makers. I think Distress Call is a fun game that pushes the boundaries of a traditional filler game while still clocking in at the time and required attention usually associated with that genre. Overall, I was a little eye-rolly about the amount of theme that doesn't always match the mechanics, but Distress Call definitely won me over in the play. I had a lot more fun than I suspected, and each game feels perfectly timed out. We've linked to the crowdfunding below, so check this one out while you can. As always, I'm Nicholas, reminding you to help protect the game population. Always sleeve your cards. Hey everyone, if you liked our video, please hit that sub button and ring the bell for notifications. Check out all of our other offerings at goodluckhighfive.com, and please consider becoming a patron of the channel over at patreon.com/GLHFmagic. It helps us keep making videos, reviews, and podcasts. You can become a member for any dollar amount. We're also always looking for new games to review. You can reach me at glhfnicholas@gmail.com. You can follow me, Captain N the Game Master, at CaptainNGM on Twitter and Instagram, and follow the channel at GLHF Magic. Remember, please shop at your local game store whenever possible. Until next time, I'm Nicholas, and good luck. High five.